Do you wonder, how does exposure for OCD really help at all? We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, I'm Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist. I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about OCD exposures, ERP, exposure response prevention, which is a type of cognitive behavioral therapy that we do to crush OCD. And I want to talk about why are exposures helpful, because a lot of people maybe don't understand what they are and how they work. But before I get started, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when I make new videos. Every Thursday, we talk a lot about anxiety and OCD and how to support you. Okay, so exposures in general are exposing yourself to an OCD trigger or an OCD thought and not doing the compulsion. The compulsion is the thing that you do or you avoid to get that brief relief, to get rid of the intrusive thought and the discomfort. But unfortunately, the more compulsions you do or the more things you avoid, whatever you do that OCD is telling you to do, it grows your OCD and your intrusive thoughts get bigger, stronger, and louder over time. So it's this really vicious loop. OCD gives you an upsetting thought or feeling, and then it lies to you and it says, this is really bad, right? This feels really uncomfortable. I've got a solution. All you need to do is this, this, and this, and it will all go away. Now that is different for each one of you as far as what those things are. There are mental compulsions and physical compulsions and things we avoid and things we don't touch, things we don't say, all sorts of things that are different depending on your OCD flavor and disguise, because OCD comes in many different disguises. But the foundation of how it works is exactly the same. OCD gives you a really upsetting, intrusive thought or feeling that you feel like you can't handle. You're like, ugh, what if this happens? Or what if this feeling never goes away? Or what if I could prevent this? Like I said, it's different for each one of you. It can be an overwhelming feeling of uncomfortableness. It can be an overwhelming fear of what will be. OCD can then lie to you and say, this is horrible, right? Well, then just do this. And then you do it, and then OCD grows bigger. So exposures are kind of like going to the OCD gym, the metaphorical OCD gym. You need to build your OCD muscles. And so you need to go into training. You need to have those intrusive thoughts or feelings and then sit with it and not do what OCD would want you to do. And so it's building up your tolerance of the uncomfortable feeling without doing what OCD says will get you off the hook, which is a lie, because the more you do it, the bigger OCD grows over time. So long term, you are going to have a much bigger issue with OCD. So how do you go to the OCD gym? Well, you think about what will trigger OCD. That's the exposure, right? I'm going to do something that's going to trigger the intrusive thought or feeling. And OCD is not really doing it to you. You're triggering OCD for once. You're the one taking the power back. And you're saying, oh, I'm going to say this word, or I'm going to touch this thing, or I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to do the compulsion. And then OCD's like, do the compulsion, do the compulsion, do the compulsion, right? And you're like, no, I'm going to sit with this uncomfortable feeling until it kind of goes away, and I'm going to learn how to tolerate it. And so when you do that, and you can do it in very small steps. You don't have to do something really big and scary. You can do a very small, tiny exposure that builds your muscles, right? Because if I was going to the gym, the real gym, I wouldn't start lifting like 80-pound weights because my muscles are not there yet. I'd start with the small weights. I might even start with no weights. I would just like lift the bar because that's where I'm at. So you don't have to go in and lift an 80-pound exposure. You might just lift a bar, right? Something really small, because muscles develop over time. They don't pop out and develop overnight. So slowly build up your OCD muscles to tolerate the discomfort, because then what happens, and it's pretty magical, and I've seen this a lot in my practice and in my online communities, is when you do that over time, you are in training and you are able to handle those thoughts without doing anything. And then when it naturally happens, that OCD is like, oh my gosh, here's a really upsetting thought. here's a really upsetting feeling. You're like, yeah, I have these all the time. I've been in training. And then OCD's like, oh, you need to do this or avoid that because you need to get that relief. And you're like, actually, I'm kind of used to being able to sit with this uncomfortable feeling and not scratching that itch. And that's what exposures do. They help you learn how to tolerate the discomfort that comes with the intrusive thought or feeling. It's not necessarily proving to you that OCD is wrong or that you're proving your intrusive thought is wrong. Because honestly, depending on your theme, sometimes OCD can find evidence that OCD was right. And your brain might be like, well, no, I actually did have a bad day today. Well, if you're looking for proof that you had a bad day, OCD will find it. So I don't think exposures are always proving OCD wrong, because OCD is a mastermind manipulator and it will make you think that OCD was right. What it is doing is proving to you that you can handle the discomfort, that the world is not going to come crumbling down because you didn't do what OCD said, and you were able to ride the wave of discomfort through that intrusive thought or feeling without doing anything, mental compulsion, physical compulsion, reassurance seeking, confessing, whatever it is for you. You didn't have to do that, and you're able to ride the wave of discomfort and get to the other side. And that is the goal, because the goal of OCD therapy in general is to crush OCD's demands, not give in to OCD demands, and learn that the thoughts can come and go, the feelings can come and go, and they don't have any power over you. And when they don't have any power over you, because you've done some OCD training, they lose their power in disrupting your life. They become inconsequential. And eventually they actually often fade, and you don't even feel or hear those thoughts anymore because they have lost their power. And even if you do, you're like, well, that was a weird thought, and you don't get hooked into it like you do when you're giving into OCD all the time. So I hope that helps explain exposures a little bit more, and I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.